There's porta potties blowing over. It was madness. So at the beginning of the year, I thought I would do something that I thought was the most American, best thing I could do with Genius Garage. And I wanted to do something new. Had a lot of nice traction and a lot of good exposure. And I thought that the coolest thing I could do was make a YouTube video and invite bright young people from all around the country or world to apply, and we'd do an IndyCar team. To give a little backstory on that, Genius Garage has been an amazing thing, and I did a past VINwiki story where we overcame some adversity with individuals who maybe weren't thinking as sporting as we all wanted the environment to be. And, you know, we overcame a lot of things like that. I think in an old world like that, it was unusual because suddenly I was bringing a lot of young people from different parts of the world that maybe talk funny and look different than everybody there. So that might have raised a few eyebrows. And it was just unusual. We were upsetting the sandbox at times. I had been vocal about what I thought was some unfairness in racing in the past through a VINwiki story. Of course, a lot of people saw that, and we got a lot of good support because of it, and I think that lesson meant a lot to young people. However, the people that wouldn't want a flashlight shined upon their shadows don't like that sort of thing. I remember it well because the video got shared, and I was really excited about the year to come, and I was visiting my grandparents. I had been looking after them. My grandmother was getting much older, of course, and my phone rings. And it's somebody who I'll just simply say is the enfant terrible. Calls me up, and I was surprised. And I actually thought that this person who was in a position to could make good things happen saw what we were doing at Genius Garage and it's like, okay, let's team up and let's do something worthwhile. But I was also mistaken. And he presented me with the option that I either had to make a video to publicly apologize to what I referred to as the boys club once before, or Genius Garage wasn't allowed to race at all for the year. And I said, okay, but we got something big here. I got young people from all around the world that want to come. This is a really good thing for everybody. I don't think that's the way we should go. And then he went on for a long time to where I held my phone like this. Whoa. I said, okay. And that was one of those things that happens behind closed doors. Those things that everybody knows. And I had a choice that was political, moral, and everything else. Do I give in to let students run, even though what happened was unfair? And if I did that, then what's the future going to be like? Is that event that important, or what do we do? I thought about it, and the only way I could put it is, how am I supposed to lead young people or be a role model if I bring them to an environment like that? And I thought, if the whole world was like that, well, we go make a new world. So in that circumstance, I thought back, and on another VINwiki story with the Lola T70, McKee raced at Road America at a really good event. I hadn't been there in a long time. So I thought, you know what, why don't we do that event? And I gave those people a call, the Hawk at Road America, and they were really nice and really supportive of what was going on. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. We'll regroup. And so we planned on doing that year, and we had our yellow IMSA Corvette and had a neat group of people this past year. Had, young people and engineers from Wyoming, Washington, Vermont, Tennessee, and of course the 14-year-old we call the hamster is local, comes in with his dad that I've been mentoring, is also part of it. So we all decided, why don't we do the racing team this year with that? And some of them were building airplanes and such, so that's what we planned on. And come July, we're all ready to go, all set up. The people at Road America were being very nice, and it was going to be a huge group, like 45, 50 cars in this group. Everything from McLarens to just insane Trans Am cars, 4 GTs from Le Mans, everything. So steep competition, very exciting. So here we are, we're rolling along. My wife's going to come later. And the one young man, the 14-year-old that I call the hamster, did the go-kart. His father ended up hurting his back, but letting his son go, and my wife and I could look after him. So it was kind of neat, too, because the young man got to experience it that way. So he actually rode in the truck and trailer with me. And one of my students, who's more adventurous, drove a 1971 Firebird all the way from Wyoming to Ohio to do Genius Garage. And now he's driving his old Firebird all the way to Wisconsin. You know how it is when you're young. You want to do it, and it's exciting. Test days were a bit of money, and so we were going to just run the race. So it's Friday. There's like maybe one test session, but you're like qualifying right now, and then the race is coming. So we got all set up, got the car out, and there were people that had recognized the hamster from his go-kart build that got shared on the internet and all. So it's just a great environment. It became even more fun because that first night we were at Road America, big track, 4 miles plus a lap, beautiful rolling countryside of middle America, and of course, a sea of the most amazing race cars coming. There's everything from Formula One cars, Indy cars, Can-Am cars, everything amazing from history. So the hamster, we brought his 6-wheel go-kart that he built. I'm like, let's use it as a pit vehicle, dude. It'll be fun. So we ended up cruising, and I had my Triumph Thruxton motorcycle as a pit bike. So for that first day when there was no traffic, I would just ride my motorcycle along through the pits and around, the Road America to see the scenery, followed by this 14-year-old kid, and I gave him my old cowboy hat. And then the other student is 71 Firebird. So we were the most ridiculous young motley crew rolling around the pits. So Friday rolls around, and it was going to be an action-packed day where everything had to be really on. And in fact, we got connected with a news station, like an NBC affiliate or whatnot in Milwaukee in the day. So myself and my wife and Jean, we had to, after a qualifying session, get it ready with them, jump in the car, zoom down to Milwaukee, do live TV, come back, and then make sure the car's ready again and qualify again. So everybody had to be working together as a really professional team doing this. It was a great experience. So it was awesome, but I was minorly stressed too. I'm like, oh gosh, if I have to help them, how do we do TV and all? But it was a gorgeous day. It was a beautiful day, and it was also actually my birthday. So I was kind of feeling good, Everything was great. The track was beautiful. The car was great. The students are working together. My wife's there. The hamster's having fun. We go out for the first, I don't even know if we really had a practice session. It was like qualifying right away. And I realized, oh man, I haven't been at this track in like 10 years. So I should try a simulator or something to remember the braking points. But the car was good. We did well. I think the brake cooling duct popped off. We fixed that and everything's great. So we're getting it ready for the next qualifying session that's coming up. And I'm like, okay, you guys are all good. You're doing your thing. Okay, we're good. So we jumped in the car, my wife and the hamster and I, to zoom down to Milwaukee. And we're heading down. As anybody with business or family knows, just because you're far away leading people or working with a team or racing doesn't mean you don't still have a life going on. And actually, my grandfather called me. I talked to him regularly. My grandmother was not doing well, I could tell. So it was kind of stressing me out, which has nothing to do with me. I'm just saying for him. But it was a little extra on my mind. I was on the way down to TV, and I was getting a little stressed there because I'm like, this kid's 14. He's never been in front of camera, and he's quiet anyway. I hope we do a good job. But we get there, and he was nervous, and I was doing my best to make him feel better and diffuse and just feel, comfortable and confident. And here we go into this beautiful television stage, like everything you can imagine. And nowadays, the cameras are all autonomous and moving around and all. It's kind of intimidating, And there's this host woman doing it, and the kid, he did an amazing job on TV. Great exposure. I thought it was great exposure for the event, Genius Garage, and just feeling, like high on a cloud again, right? We drive back, and I actually texted a picture to the students' parents that really liked it, and we're feeling good. He fell asleep. He was tired. We get back to the track, and the car's all ready to go. It's looking pretty. It is the most beautiful sunny day you've ever seen. The grass is green, the trees, the clouds, and we had about 10 minutes before we had to fire up the car, make sure it's warm, suit up, get out there on track. So it's ready to go, but we got 10 minutes to relax. And we're really close to the last turn of Road America, and there's a big, beautiful group of cars going out. Just probably 40 cars, just beautiful, the noises. I'm like, you guys, let's go watch just for 5 minutes. Just enjoy this. And so I hop on my motorcycle, and we were only going like a few hundred yards or something to watch. And Gene hops on, and we just kind of bop on over there, and my phone starts ringing. I'm like, I'm on a bike. I can't exactly take a call. I pick up the phone. It's my grandfather. And he's very direct in business and life, went through World War II. And I go, how you doing? And he says, your grandmother is dead. And that was the moment where all of the color and all of the beauty went, phew, and everything looked black and white. And I don't even remember what cars were on the track. My grandfather tells me that, and some family members were there and coming, but I'm stuck in states away. And I said, understood. Talk to you in a bit. So we go over the car, and I told my wife, but the students were all so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and smiling and having fun. And so I got to separate now, personal from that. I think I told one of them, and I'm also the guy that has to drive the car. Like, I've got to be able to separate this. And did, but I didn't feel as jolly as I did a minute ago. But then I got a hot drop in this hot car, which seems really just wrong at the moment. But I remember getting in with the students, and my wife told them, but they were cool and they were supportive, and we're sitting there on the hot grid ready to go out. And I just thought to myself, what am I going to do? Go out there and be bad? Like, she'd be mad at me. Maybe she's watching right now. So I'm just going to go drive. The car was great. Prepped it well. It was a beautiful day. Drove really well. Qualified really well. I think it's so amazing how a team and people that care about each other, even when they're young, can be supportive. It was also my birthday, so I won't be forgetting that one. My wife had a couple little things for me there afterward, and it was a beautiful day. And the thing that was so touching is little Jean the hamster and one of the students go, "Hold on, we got something," and they went running away and came back. And Jean got me a vintage Matchbox car in the packet that was my blue with white stripes Dodge Viper. And he's like, "You better like that. I had to drive all the way to Texas to get that." Like his deadpan humor as a 14-year-old. But it was just really good and really supportive. Of course, I was on the phone a lot with things and feeling it, but I was stuck at the track. But the students had a great time, and that was the race car Concours night. And then the next night was the Concours d'Elegance in downtown Elkhart Lake. And of course, the student with his Firebird, he had all that kind of gusto. He entered his car into the Concours. And it's very patinaed. It's never been restored on the body. It's still faded and orange and it just looks absurd in that regard. And the other thing that was really neat, there was a young man who recognized Genius Garage team when we were at Elkhart Lake the night before from VINwiki. And he came up and his parents were there and they invited us to a party they're having because they have a house by Road American Elkhart Lake. And we went to it right after the Concours, and it was great fun. It ended up being the hub of all the crazy car people. Somebody shot off a cannon. A guy shows up in a Ferrari F40 LM, and students are just having the greatest time because they're really being accepted by great people in the community in this regard, and it's a supportive environment. And so afterward we left. My wife and I rode the motorcycle back home. The guys piled in their Firebird to come back to the track, and they wanted to go to Walmart or something to pick some things up. And I was just going to take a little bit of time to myself, with my wife and kind of regroup my mental emotional state with the students. And I thought I'm going to do this old school, like back in the days when I had an old C4 Corvette. I'm just going to lay down on the hood of the race car and look at the sunset, you know what I mean? So I did that, and the students were at Walmart, and I look way off in the distance. I'm like, that's a big storm. That is a lot of lightning. That looks like Independence Day, the movie. And it's getting big fast. I look at the radar, like, it's the end of times. I tell the students, you guys gotta get here quick. We gotta batten down the hatches, strap everything down. This is gonna be bad. And so they got back, and it was a hellacious storm. We had everything strapped down the awning to the race cars, everybody's cars underneath it. It started flooding like all the ground there. And some of the students were thinking they're gonna sleep in the tent. I'm like, no, you're insane. Like, take shelter. So we kind of weathered that storm, and it was sort of fun because it went from being a race to now we feel like we're on some sailing ship deserted. And there's porta potties blowing over. It was madness, but it was fun. It's an adventure, right? And frankly, Saturday was a bit of a rain out, but the Road America people were really nice. They even let us use a golf cart, no charge, for Genius Garage. They really supported us, and that was good too. So students could meet a lot of people and see a lot of things. Sunday, the race day came around. It was prepped well. Got a great picture with everybody together. It was so neat. And the car was good. The competition was crazy steep. I think we qualified somewhere around 13th to 15th out of 45 or so cars. But we were out horsepowered. There were cars pumping 900 horsepower. We might be 700 on a good day. And Road America is a brutal track on road race cars. Like, I forgot what Road America does to cars. It is nothing but horsepower, burning heat, blistering brakes, holy moly, hauling the mail. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, we at least need to beat the Ford GTs that were at Le Mans. Like, we're not losing to that. And so I made some good moves and got away from them in like the first 3 corners, and then kept that. It was a fairly uneventful race. Somebody in a McLaren spun out right at the exit of Canada Corner, perpendicular to the flow of traffic, and then it ended up ending in a yellow flag, which is a bummer because no real race team wants to see that. But everybody was safe. It was a really great day, and the car was amazing. I was just so touched to find an environment that cared about the students, where they got to have an adventure of their lives together as a team, come together as individuals, as engineers, as sportsmen, and it was just everything good about what the racing and car community can be.
We'd like to thank Avalon King for their continued support of the VINwiki YouTube channel. Obviously, I've installed it onto my Porsche 993, which one of our app users is going to win once we hit 1 million subscribers. I've got it on the LP640, and it's performed flawlessly in both cases. The cars are much easier to clean, the finish looks a lot better, and I've really been impressed with it. So we're going to do some more experimentation with the ceramic coating this month, but please do check out the link in the description below, enter the code VINwiki for a discount, and thank them for supporting your favorite YouTube channel.